Welcome back to The Explainer. We've got a truly fascinating one lined up for you today. We're going to be diving into some profoundly ancient scriptural concepts, but we're translating them into highly relatable modern paradigms to cure something I think almost all of us suffer from: decision paralysis. We'll be looking at source material that breaks down the very architecture of how we navigate disagreement, anxiety, and just the sheer, overwhelming number of choices we face every single day. So let's map out exactly how shifting our mindset can change absolutely everything.
But first, let's start with a simple question. Really think about how you make decisions right now. Modern technology has completely conditioned us to demand absolute certainty about our future. I mean, think about it. When you open up a navigation app, you expect to see the entire route from start to finish before you even put your car in drive, right? You want to know every turn, every delay, exactly what time you'll arrive down to the minute. But when we apply that exact same expectation to our lives, our careers, or our relationships, it creates a massive problem because we're desperately searching for a map in a world that, quite frankly, only offers a compass.
And this is exactly why we're living through an epidemic of decision paralysis. Take a look at the Google Maps mindset. This represents our desperate need for absolute control. The second the path changes unexpectedly, our system crashes. We get anxious, we just completely freeze up. Now contrast that with the compass mindset. A compass doesn't give you the whole route. It literally just gives you a direction. It requires you to take one step forward in the dark, trusting your moral and philosophical bearing. We are so paralyzed today because we expect life to hand us a turn-by-turn map instead of just trusting our compass to guide us step by step.
Which brings us to Section 1, the illusion of control and the 2 a.m. shower argument.
Okay, we have absolutely all been there. It's 2 a.m., you're standing in the shower, and you are brilliantly winning an argument in your head that ended hours or maybe even days ago. You're looping those same points over and over, desperately trying to control a narrative. Well, in that exact moment, your nervous system is completely flooded with cortisol. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between a petty disagreement at the office and a saber-toothed tiger standing in your bathroom. This intense physical reaction happens because our ego is just desperately trying to assert control over a situation that is already way out of our hands.
So how do we actually escape this anxiety loop? Well, our sources present a really clear 4-step pattern for overcoming this. First, we name the human struggle, like that 2 a.m. shower anxiety. Second, we find the core mechanism that's actually causing it. Third, we locate the philosophical insight to address it. And finally, we translate that abstract insight into a concrete daily practice. It's a structured, practical path from identifying our pain to actively curing it.
Let's move on to Section 2, the problem with labels.
I want you to try a quick thought experiment presented in our source material. Imagine a world where, just for one day, all tribal, political, and religious labels simply vanished. No titles, no team colors, no group identities at all. What would actually happen? Well, the sources suggest that we would suddenly look around and realize we're all essentially behaving the exact same way. We go to the same places, we worry about the same bills, we complain about the same traffic, and we're seeking the exact same happiness. So much of our division is just an illusion created by these labels we cling to for a false sense of security and, let's be honest, superiority.
To really address this, the source text pulls from ancient scripture, specifically Surah Ashura, and it impartially presents this philosophical insight. Had God so willed, he could have made all of them one community. Now, the argument being made here is incredibly profound. It suggests that human diversity, our differences in thought, in culture, in opinion, none of that is an accident or a bug in the system. It is an intentional design. Rigid tribalism completely misses the point of why this diversity exists in the first place.
And this perfectly illustrates a core issue. We have taken these profound, active concepts and turned them into rigid nouns. We treat faith or our moral worldview like it's a static club membership or some tribal badge we wear just to fuel our egos. But the sources argue these concepts were originally meant to be verbs. They are meant to represent a dynamic, active orientation, a continuous journey of seeking truth and doing good, not just a label you stamp on your social media profile to prove you belong to the right team.
Let's dive into Section 3, the architecture of reality.
Our sources describe the universe, what they call the culture of the heavens, as operating on 2 main principles. First, a deep, continuous sense of gratitude. Second, a proactive, continuous concern and compassion for absolutely everyone on Earth, without exception. Just think about the stark contrast there for a second. While we're down here fiercely guarding our little tribal boundaries and fighting over labels, the wider architecture of reality is described as vibrating with ultimate focus and universal compassion. There's literally zero petty tribalism in this grand design.
To really wrap our heads around this, the sources offer a fascinating modern analogy. Think of reality like a massive internet network router. From our human view, we tend to see abundance as a personal reward for being awesome and scarcity as a punishment. But from the system architecture view, it's completely different. Abundance is just a deliberate injection of bandwidth to a specific node, and scarcity, it's a controlled throttling designed to force specific interactions and build necessary dependencies. The system isn't handing out random prizes, it's perfectly calibrating the flow of the entire network.
Moving right along to Section 4, Gravity and the Orbit.
I love this analogy from the sources. The Earth revolves around the Sun because of gravity, not because it has a membership card to the Solar System Club. It's so true, right? True alignment isn't about flashing your credentials or proving you belong to the in-group. It's about submitting to the gravitational pull of a higher truth. It's about finding peace in the orbit, letting that natural force guide you, rather than exhausting yourself trying to force your own artificial path through space.
Which brings us to another key verse here. In whatever you may differ, the verdict thereon rests with God. The text is suggesting that the ultimate resolution to our daily differences and conflicts isn't actually about winning the argument. It's about where we choose to place our trust. When you encounter a deep disagreement, like that argument you were obsessing over in the shower, the final judgment isn't a win or loss in that immediate debate. It's recognizing there is a higher judge, which completely allows you to let go of the need to control the outcome.
Now, I know when a lot of people hear the word surrender or let go, they automatically mistake it for passive resignation, like you're just giving up or being intellectually lazy. But the sources define surrender very differently. Surrender is actually the ultimate intellectual maturity. It is the wisdom to clearly recognize the absolute boundaries of your own control. True power isn't in forcing the universe to bend to your will. True power is controlling your response to the outcome by adopting a posture of profound humility.
All right, final part, Section 5, Fixing the Operating System. Think about how you tackle your day. We basically have two approaches. The first is what we can call fixing local bugs. This is when you react to every single daily annoyance. You argue just to win, and you frantically pull at a single tangled thread in your life, hoping to fix everything, but usually just making the knot tighter. The alternative is improving the system architecture. This means stepping back, orienting your entire life toward a greater truth, and trusting the weaver of the tapestry. It is the sheer liberation of aligning with the system rather than fighting every tiny glitch.
When you're faced with two difficult roads, that intense, heavy pressure to control everything is exactly what creates that knot in your chest. But here's the secret. You honestly do not have to be the frantic weaver. You don't have to hold the entire universe together yourself. Freedom comes from stepping back and recognizing that the whole tapestry is held together by a beautiful, complex design that is far, far beyond your immediate control. Your job? Your job is just to align with it. Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought to take away from today's explainer. If you finally surrender that illusion of control, if you realize that you aren't the weaver of the entire tapestry, but rather just a specific, necessary knot within it, then what is the purpose of your specific tension? It's a big question. Think about that the next time you find yourself trying to force the map instead of just trusting the compass. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep learning.